Hello everyone, this is Miss Griffith and this is going to be a writing lesson. We are going to continue our work on narrative writing. Before I begin, I wanted to recap or to go over what narrative writing is. Narrative writing tells a story about one or more events. Narrative writing also includes details that describe how characters think, feel, and act. In narrative writing, there's a beginning, middle, and end. A narrative can be made up, or it could be a real story. In previous videos, we brainstormed, or I brainstormed. I did one simple brainstorm. I brainstormed characters, feelings, setting, and actions. I also did a more complex narrative that allowed me to go into a little more detail on my brainstorm. I have taken my simple narrative and I have taken the brainstorm and made the brainstorm into a rough draft. When I take my thoughts from the brainstorm into the rough draft, I want to make sure that I get all of my thoughts. So I put a check mark near each of my brainstorm bubbles to make sure I got all of the information from my simple brainstorm into my simple rough draft. Today, I am going to demonstrate for you how to turn another brainstorm, which this is going to be my more detailed brainstorm, into a rough draft. I am going to start with my topic. The topic for my narrative writing is summer trips to camp. When I start my writing, I am going to start close to the red line. I folded my paper in half so that I can see the simple rough draft and the more detailed rough draft. I'm going to start and say, I went to camp every summer. My sentence says, I went to camp every summer. The sentence that I wrote here is based on this idea in my brainstorm. Summer trips to camp. Because I have taken this thought and put it off on my rough draft, I'm going to put a check mark. This check mark lets me know that I have taken this thought and added it into my rough draft already. Now that I have the topic sentence in my rough draft, I am going to talk about the characters and setting. That is something that should always be in narrative writing. Because I ended my sentence here, I do have room to start my new sentence here rather than jumping down to the next line. Okay, so I added a sentence that talks about the characters and setting. So I added, my family and I went to a cabin in the woods. Now, I have taken the characters and setting from this brainstorm bubble and I have added them to my rough draft. I am going to put a check mark there to let me know that I have taken this thought and put it on my rough draft. Remember, when we are writing a rough draft, it is okay to make mistakes because we're going to go back and correct them. Now that I have talked about the characters and setting, I'm going to move over here to this brainstorm bubble and I'm going to take the thoughts and feelings from my brainstorm and put the thoughts and feelings into my rough draft. I added another sentence to my rough draft. My sentence says, when we are at camp, we are happy, thankful, and tired. Once again, I took my thoughts and feelings from my brainstorm and added them to my rough draft. When I talked about my feelings and thoughts, or the thoughts and feelings of the character, I certainly added more words than I had here. So when you are taking things from your brainstorm, it is okay to add more words or more thoughts when you put them on your rough draft. I have now taken my topic, the characters and setting, and the thoughts and feelings from my brainstorm and put them on my rough draft. Now I want to write about the actions that have been taken at camp. I added one more sentence to my rough draft. I added the sentence, at camp, we go fishing, hunting, and ride four-wheelers. I have taken the actions from my brainstorm and I have wrote them on the rough draft. Now I have to write a conclusion. The conclusion finishes the story and wraps everything up. The conclusion that I have on my brainstorm, I am going to take and put on my rough draft. I added one more sentence to my rough draft, and the sentence I added was the conclusion. I wrote, my family and I were happy to be outdoors at my camp in the summer. I'm going to put a check mark here. Now, if we take a look at my brainstorm, I have 5 check marks. That lets me know that I have taken all 5 thoughts from the brainstorm and added them to the rough draft. Now that I have the rough draft, the next step in the writing process is to revise and edit. So I purposely made some errors in this writing, spelling errors and punctuation errors. Now I'm going to go back through as a writer and fix them in order to make the writing stronger and better for the final draft.